gets to dine at an archaeological site. They close the park specifically for Windstar Cruises, and if you do miss it, you'll regret it.
And I was blown away that we do this and that we're small enough to do this.
Welcome back to Winds of Change. In this next episode, we're going to be coming back to people of Windstar, because I know we've met with the captains, we've met with our president, Chris Prelog, but this one in particular is very special to me personally because I get to share a little bit of our secret sauce, which is there are people who are just experts in what they do. And they ensure that you are having the most fabulous time on board and that you're able to select some of the best shore excursions and activities that you can do in the destinations that we take you to. So Melissa, welcome to our new podcast, Winds of Change.
Thank you, Janet. It's nice to be here.
And Melissa, I know you are a wealth of knowledge. So can you please tell our listeners a little bit about you and how you came about here at Windstar? Meaning, how long have you been at Windstar and what exactly do you do for Windstar?
I've actually been at Windstar coming on 13 years. So I've been here for full 12 years. I have been in the cruise industry since I was 19.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I started as a motor coach driver in Alaska giving tours. So I've seen it from the ground up. But I'm currently a senior product manager and I bring the destination to life. So I do shore excursions. I also assist with entertainment on board, local entertainment. I work locally with the operators, with hotels. We procure hotels. So anything that has to do with the land portion, I work with those.
Now, obviously, you have been in the cruise industry for quite some time, and so you know how to curate itineraries with Jess, who now we've had on the podcast as well, but you bring the destinations to life. So how is that you do that and plan differently for Windstar than any other company that you've worked for?
Well, the great thing about Windstar is that they actually promote their product managers touching the region prior to even visiting it. So we go there, we meet with the locals, we survey our guests, we find out what they're interested in seeing, and then we expound from there. So we also visit those small hidden places, and we personally do that prior to visiting, and we're able to procure some really lovely experiences for our guests.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Europe because I know that many cruise lines visit Europe. And I want to talk about some of your favorite itineraries in Europe and some of the favorite activities that you've curated in these itineraries. So if you had to pick the top 3 itineraries that we have in Europe right now for guests to choose, what would that be?
Number 1 for sure would be the Greek Isles for me. I think visiting Greece in general, visiting the different islands, it's the only way to go. Another itinerary would be going from Rome all the way up to Venice. It could be our current Med itinerary, which is southern Italy, Adriatic, and Venice. And then lastly, our Sicilian Splendors is beautiful because it takes you down to Gozo and Malta and then back around Sicily. So those are 3 unique itineraries that I would definitely recommend.
So let's talk about Greece. If I was, first timer and taking the Greece itinerary, what recommendations would you give me personally with the little bit that you know about me?
That's a really good question. So we're going on the Greek Isles. Let's see. I know that you really enjoy a good resort visit, let's say, or a good beach excursion.
Yes, I love the beach.
Yes, so I would definitely recommend for you in Mykonos to go to our local beach, or even in Santorini. We have a black sand beach. We also have a beautiful cruise that goes through the caldera in Santorini. You stop in one location, you're able to jump off the catamaran and enjoy some free time. Another tour would be Wines of Santorini. You don't often see wines in Greece, but they do grow them, and they have a fully different idea of how they grow their grapes. They grow them in a basket style. So it's educational, it's fun to taste because it's grown from volcanic soil, so it has a different taste to it. I would also, of course, encourage anyone that goes in the Greek Isles to do the Kushadasi Destination Discovery event.
Yes.
That's something that we've procured, and it's a once in a lifetime experience, and our guests truly enjoy it. So that's another one that I would say you
So
cannot
tell the
miss.
guests listening on board, what is it about Windstar in Kusadasi and why do they not want to miss this event, which everyone on board is invited to, by the way?
Yes, you can't miss it because who gets to dine at an archaeological site? They close the park specifically for Windstar Cruises. We bring in a catered kitchen. The cook's there for you. Everything is roped off, so you have a private experience in this event. Everything, the sun starts to set. It sets behind the library, and then the lights come on. It's a white tablecloth dinner, a four-course meal, and they have a beautiful orchestra that plays, not orchestra, that plays for the guests. And it's just kind of a magical experience. You just can't miss it. And if you do miss it, you'll regret it. So
Yes.
that's just a high level view of what it's like.
And I got to experience that during our 40-year anniversary, and I know you had a lot to do with the planning of two ships. We had the Star Legend and the Wind Spirit together, the guests celebrating in this beautiful evening, and you said the right words. It was absolutely magical. And I don't think that even the tour guides themselves realize, oh my gosh, they do close down the Ephesus library and Kusadasi for us, in Kusadasi for us. So that's pretty spectacular. So now I'm going from Europe to your favorite place that you mentioned. I think and I would assume it was Alaska region. And I'm going to the Star Seeker. Japan has been one of the most, sought out, I think, itineraries right now for us. It's selling very quickly. So I would love to talk to our guests about what's really going to be unique about Japan. Let's talk about that itinerary and what excursions they will have available to them.
Yeah, it's a beautiful itinerary. The Grand Japan itinerary, you get to sail in the inland sea, which is quite unique. And Japan is made up of hundreds of islands, so the opportunity to go into the inland sea is really pretty. We do everything from culinary. We do an udon noodle making class at Takamatsu. We have beautiful gardens. Japan is known for their gardens, so in multiple locations we offer an opportunity for our guests to go into these Japanese gardens.
Yes.
We also have a lot of history there from World War II, or just like there's a wonderful museum there that talks about the kamikaze pilots and how they utilized their lives to protect Japan. Obviously, it's emotional from both sides, but they do a beautiful job. They show the letters that these pilots wrote to their families and their siblings before they left. So that the history side of it, and Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they just do a really nice job. They embrace Americans now, but they love educating everyone that comes to visit. So those are just some highlights, but I just think obviously then you go to the castles that they have in Japan, and you go to the shrines that they have, and they have beautiful outdoors. It's a lot like Washington State, if you've ever been in Washington State. Beautiful forests and national parks. So there's everything. It offers everything in Japan.
Amazing. Now, you can sail from Alaska to Japan, but what exactly as a small ship can we offer our guests in Alaska that they won't be able to do with the big cruise lines?
Well, we have our unique light expedition tours that we offer. So you can go kayak. They can give you hot chocolate while you're kayaking in some of the fjords. You can go up close and personal to the glaciers. Obviously, safety always comes first. But that is truly a highlight for Windstar Cruises in Alaska.
Yes, absolutely. Now, Melissa, you mentioned that one of the big differentiators with Windstar is that you all get to actually go scout locations, right? Mm-hmm. And visit with the local operators. Can you give me the last location that you visited and scouted for Windstar?
Absolutely. It's a true highlight for me to actually get to talk about it. But I was just recently in Southeast Asia, and we are just now launching that program. And I had an opportunity to visit Vietnam, Hanoi, Halong Bay, and then also go into Cambodia to Angkor Wat. and then also Thailand and go into interior Thailand into Chiang Mai. There are so many great things to visit in this region, and I'm really excited for Windstar to highlight this area.
Yes. And so, what is it about for those who maybe are looking into booking Southeast Asia with Windstar? Would love for you to talk a little bit about those itineraries that you've
Yeah,
curated for them.
absolutely. Okay, so we have two distinct cruises in this region, but the special part is we've curated 3 cruise tours. So it not only gives you that cruise experience, but we take you into interior Vietnam or Cambodia for Angkor Wat or Chiang Mai. And the thing that we did prior to me going out and scouting was we surveyed our guests. What do you want from this region? What do you want to see? And immediately when you think of Thailand, you think of beaches. But that was not what our guests said. They said they wanted the culinary aspect.
Right.
So they wanted to try the cuisine. They wanted the historical aspect, and they also wanted the culture. So when I went out to scout, that's exactly what I did. And so those pieces are all integrated into our cruises and also our cruise tours. We have a lot of culinary tours in our Hanoi cruise tour. We stay in Hanoi for 4 days, 3 nights, and a culinary portion is a big part of that, as well as the Vietnam War. So we share a little bit about the history and how Hanoi played a part in that. And then we also, another part that we do is we give opportunities if we have a guest that has only 10 days and they want to see it all. On that sea day in the middle of our cruise from Hanoi to Bangkok, we have a sea day, and we have 2 days in, so I'm calling it Saigon, but now it's Ho Chi Minh City. So we have 2 days there. So you get 1 day in Ho Chi Minh City, and then the next day you can actually fly to Angkor Wat as a cruise tour.
Wow.
Or not as actually ShoreX. Overnight in Angkor Wat, experience it, fly back to Sihanoukville and join the ship, and then continue on your cruise. So you're really only missing your second day in Ho Chi Minh and then also your sea day. So it gives that guest an opportunity. Or you can do the cruise tour out of Bangkok when the cruise ends, and you can go up to Angkor Wat for 3 nights, 4 days.
I didn't realize we did that. So I can leave my luggage in my beautiful suite and then just bring like a day bag, right? Like a weekend bag with me, and then visit the beautiful Angkor Wat and then get go back on the ship. Or I can do it at the tail end.
Yes, you have 2 opportunities to
Okay.
see Angkor Wat.
Amazing. Because if you want to go into that region of the world, you definitely want to make sure that you're visiting Angkor Wat. So that is absolutely spectacular that you've given our guests 2 choices, not 1, but 2, depending on how much time they have in the region. So thank you, Melissa, for that.
You're welcome.
Pretty genius. Yes, that's
Or
amazing.
the other part, can I just really quickly, if you
Yes,
connect
please. No.
if you connect the 2 cruises and you don't have that
Okay.
opportunity out of Bangkok, you can do that ShoreX to go up to see Angkor Wat. You continue on, so you're connecting, you're doing a collector. You're going all the way
Okay.
from Hanoi to Bangkok, Bangkok to Phuket. And then you still have an opportunity to see Angkor Wat. And then at the end, when you're in Phuket, you can attach the cruise tour to Chiang Mai that takes you up into interior Thailand to the elephant sanctuary, to the culinary
wow.
highlights. It is amazing. So if you have the time, that's what you should do.
I think you make the time because, as you've seen from our captain who's called in to this podcast, and you heard him perfectly well, we have wonderful Wi-Fi. So I would say, I actually recommend that if you are going to be taking this itinerary, to please take the collector, because once you visit this region of the world and you take the flight, I think you're going to want to see the most of it. And having had the team of experts that we have had to curate this amazing itinerary, plus all the activities that you can experience while you're there, I think it's going to be a lifetime trip for sure.
I would agree.
I love
would
it.
agree.
I love it. So Melissa, so now we've gone Alaska, Japan, Southeast Asia, we've been to Europe, and what was your previous scouting trip prior to that? Because I know you're always planning new destinations and new activities. What was your previous scouting trip prior to Southeast Asia?
I've done recently, I did a familiarization trip in Sicily and in southern Italy and learned a lot about that region, which is amazing. Beautiful area.
Yes, and I
Undiscovered.
believe we have new itineraries in 2026, correct? That's going to be covering
Yes.
that region of the world. Can you talk a
Yes,
little bit
we
about
do.
that? Because as you know, that's a region that's near and dear to my heart, Reggio Calabria,
Yes,
and the whole
absolutely.
Calabrian region.
It's really undiscovered by a lot of the ships. I mean, obviously, people that visit that region continually go back, but the two areas, Calabria and Puglia, are in the southern area of Italy. Some of the great ports that we'll visit are Reggio Calabria, which has the bronze statues that were discovered.
Yes.
There's also a lot of bergamot is big in that area. It's a very, very large lemon, and they create culinary dishes with bergamot as well as signature like perfumes, things like that. And it's
And it's
also
a fat
on the
burner. It's a fat burner, by the way. I love it. So for those of you who feel guilty about eating all the amazing Italian food that you will eat while you're in this region of the world, don't you worry, because bergamot will burn it all away. It's a
I love
great,
that.
healthy fruit that you can only find in this region of the world.
Yeah, and it's beautiful what they do with
It
it.
is.
And it's also on the Messina Strait, so that's
Yes.
just a beautiful region to look over and see Sicily. So that's very nice. And the other region in southern Italy is Puglia.
Yes.
And Puglia has a lot to offer.
much.
It has Aberbello, which is a region that has these cone-shaped houses, and they were originally built when they started taxing on houses. So they would build them of rocks, and then when they knew that the tax collectors were coming, they'd pull out a rock, they'd collapse, so they wouldn't have to pay any taxes. So then they'd build them back up.
Crazy.
But they're absolutely stunning, and they've some people still live in them. There's actually places where you can stay if you're overnighting there, and then they've turned some into wineries. So that's another thing is the culinary area, the different types of pasta in this area. We are going to offer some beautiful, beautiful culinary classes. And there's also, if you go up into the mountains, there's homes that were built into caves. And we'll take a tour that'll take them up to visit those caves, and you can see how people were living in them, and now how they've turned them into shops and restaurants. It's beautiful.
Amazing. And thank you, Melissa, for doing that, because I think, the south of Italy is something that is becoming more and more popular, because I think people have been traveling to the north of Italy. They love the country. They want to come back. And the fact that it's also very difficult to arrive by plane, by the way, and through tours and trains. And so the fact that we have ships that navigate through the south of Italy, and usually they don't stop, and now we have these wonderful ports that we can offer our guests. I am super excited about these itineraries, and you can find them in our 2026 deployment. And so if you are searching on our website, make sure that you are searching for 2026. And it's going to be during the summer months. You can use our water sports platform to, take a dip in the beautiful waters of the Mediterranean, and the Ionic Sea, which is on the other side, and the Adriatic, which is absolutely stunning. It's crystal clear blue waters that you'll be able to enjoy the next time that you're on board. So Melissa, our time is up, but I know this will not be our last time with you here, and I know you're coming very soon to our Miami headquarters, so we definitely want to invite you back. But for our listeners joining in, if you have any additional questions for Melissa, if there are any itineraries that you want her to cover the next time that she joins us, please leave it in the comment box, because we'll be sure to ask you, because I know you're a wealth of information, and the level of details that you provide will be really appreciated by those listening in who are actually sitting down jotting notes to everything that you're saying.
I'll be happy to come back. Thank you very much, Janet. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Melissa, for everything that you do, and I cannot wait to see where you go and scout next for us.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Welcome back for the second part of this amazing episode where we are talking to the experts that make the dreams come true. And when I say make the dream come true, I really mean it, because they're sitting here curating the itineraries and bringing the destinations to life. My name is Janet Bava, and I'm your host for Winds of Change. And I am here with our very own Ricky.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Yes, and I know you haven't driven too far, so I'm not going to say thank you for making the drive in Miami to come down here and join us for the episode. But I am super excited to talk to you, because I know what you do, and you select, you have a special selection of itineraries that we don't talk about very often. And so I want to talk about that. But before we do, tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you here to Windstar.
Sure. I'm really happy to be in this space, exactly like you said, planning the itineraries, planning the activities for our guests off the ship. I had been working in travel for quite a while and tour planning, tour operations. And I had taken cruises a lot growing up with my family, and it all just kind of came together here in Miami. I found the opportunity. I got started with the shore excursion space at Silver Sea a few years ago, and I've kind of been in the industry. And I had heard of Windstar. I had seen the beautiful ships with the sails. I had never been on a cruise ship that had sails before. I saw it in port one day, and I was very intrigued. Actually, in Dominica one time when I was working for another line, I saw the ships, and I thought that would be so cool.
Did you see the sail ship? Is that what you saw?
Exactly,
yeah,
yes.
Like, beautiful.
And then I saw the opportunity here in Windstar here in Miami, since they moved the offices, and I thought, what a great opportunity. So
now,
I
were
went
we
for
at
it.
Silver Sea at the same time?
We were.
I'm like, yes, we did. I'm like, I couldn't remember. This is like me getting older and brain fog is coming about. But yes, we were in Silver Sea at the same time. Amazing.
Yeah.
So you've landed this dream job at Windstar, and now can you tell our listeners a little bit about what you do exactly?
Sure. I do think it is like a great conversation starter. It's very popular at parties when people ask, what do you do? I'm like, let me take a deep breath, because I know this is going to be something we're going to talk about for a minute. You don't just glaze over like, I'm an accountant, and then you move on, you know? When I say what I do, it's always very exciting and intriguing. What I like to say is that I focus on the guest experience off the ship. So where we go, what you do, where you stay before and after, and how maybe you'll extend your vacation with Windstar. So truly the land experience, the destination experience. And another thing I'm very proud of and why I love Windstar is that we are a destination-focused cruise line.
Right.
And so that makes my role very big. To me, in my mind, it's a very big role, and I take that very seriously, and I love what I do.
And you do a phenomenal job at it.
Thank you.
What are the destinations that you focus on?
Sure. So it's a little bit all over, and we divide it by summer and winter. So right now, our winter for me is mainly Central America. Costa Rica, Panama, that's the bulk of what I do during the winter. A little bit of the Caribbean here and there, the Colombia, Mexico, those destinations. For the summer, I move over mostly to Spain. Spain is a huge part of our program now year-round.
Yes.
But Spain, UK, the Atlantic coast of France, up to Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, all that way.
So you do Northern Europe as well?
A bit of Northern Europe I have, yes.
Okay, so let's talk about those itineraries actually. Let's start in Northern Europe, because I don't think we've talked about Northern Europe yet.
Exciting.
And so tell me about what exactly are itineraries that you do there, and like what are you curating in terms of shore excursions that gets you really excited?
Sure. So we definitely have a variety of itineraries throughout the UK. So if you want to see the Scottish Highlands, those are there. We have a new itinerary that's circumnavigating Ireland, which I think is really cool, because you get to see the cities, you get to see the rolling green hills. You can go to some of the crystal factories like Waterford. Of course, lots of distilleries for whiskey. They make a lot of gin now as well. That's becoming very popular in Ireland and Scotland. A lot of gin distilleries. So there's a huge variety of experiences there.
That's cool.
And something I'm really excited about in more Northern Europe is we are going to be doing tulip season in the Netherlands and Belgium. I am so excited to be in Amsterdam for tulip season. We always, are just after it, typically during the heat of summer. And we decided to actually bring it back a little bit, start our season earlier, and have a couple back-to-back cruises that are round-trip Amsterdam. So it's very easy to get in and out of. Then you'll be there during April or end of April and beginning of May, I believe, to get the tulip season there, which is really exciting.
Amazing. Yes, I love that. So you've taken us through Europe, and you talked about Spain, my motherland. So let's talk a little bit about what exactly do we offer, because what I love about Spain is not only being able to visit it year round, and it's so different whether it's the winter or the summer months, but also what I love about Spain is the cruise tours that we have available in that region that you personally had to, tough job here. He had to go and visit these beautiful places to actually ensure that it was going to be something that our guests would enjoy. So tell us a little bit about what we do in that region of Spain and France that you have planned.
Sure. So Spain to me has a very special spot in my heart. And when I found out that Spain was one of the territories that I could manage in my role here, I said, please give them to me. And once you give it to me, please don't ever take Spain away.
And by the way, if you ever go back to Spain, please take me.
You're welcome.
Because I love Spain. I don't get bored of Spain either.
I truly love Spain. And I hope this is not too much of a tangent, but for me, in university, I was on an engineering path. I was totally not thinking about working in travel. And I decided to do a semester abroad in Sevilla, still one of my favorite cities, which we go to as well. We do sail up the river occasionally and dock right in the heart of Sevilla.
I love it. What's the itinerary name of that one? Do you remember?
That's usually Comprehensive Spain that we do that on.
Okay, good, because I think people are going to want to do that itinerary, Comprehensive Spain.
Anytime I see Seville on an itinerary, I highly recommend it. It is a challenging operation to go up the river, and only smaller ships can do it. I know I'm off on a tangent here, but
I love it.
I really love.
Please go on all the tangents you want.
This is one that I really believe in. It's one of my favorite places. I just love the city so much, and it changed my perspective on life, on what I wanted to do for work, and I absolutely fell in love with Spain and again in Sevilla. So to me, Spain has a very special spot in my heart, and I love planning the itineraries that we have here, and we have quite a good amount actually. There's a couple great combinations. As I just mentioned, Comprehensive Spain, if you really want to focus on Spain itself. We also have souks and sherries, which generally includes Morocco as well, which is really exciting.
Which is beautiful.
You get Gibraltar in there, you get Portugal, so you actually get a variety of countries. Even though it seems like you're focusing on Spain, you actually get 4 different countries if you include Gibraltar in that.
And Portugal, we go to Lisbon?
Yes, we typically start in Lisbon. Sometimes we include Portimao, a port in the south, in the Algarve, which is very nice.
Because Portugal's very popular these days.
It is. It's
We're actually
very,
building
very
our
trendy.
ship there, by the way.
That's right.
Yes,
very trendy. And that's what I love about Spain and Portugal. Incredible, affordable wines and foods. The culinary scene there is fantastic. And it's very affordable. You can eat very well and not always break the bank. If you want to, you can find your Michelin star
but you
restaurants.
don't have to eat well.
But you don't have to eat well. To have a good meal, a great glass of wine, does not cost a ton. So I really love that about Spain.
Now, which is the itinerary that you can add a Madrid cruise tour to?
Thank you. So I'm really excited about this new Madrid opportunity. It is by high-speed rail, and it actually is on most of the itineraries that start or end in Barcelona. You can add it to pretty much any of those. So even itineraries that don't go to Spain, you could be coming over from Italy, starting in Rome, touching on the Côte d'Azur, the southern coast of France, and ending in Barcelona. So you can kind of have a taste of Italy and France and then add on this extension into Madrid, which I think is great. But I'm really excited about the Madrid program. It is very Windstar. It's very boutique. You're staying in 5-star boutique hotels in the heart of the city. A lot of cruise programs because Madrid is so in demand. You're staying at a big name brand hotel outside of the center. We have a really local, historic boutique property in the heart of the city. You have a Michelin star flamenco show, so you get, and it's not just one of those touristy flamenco shows. This is really a flamenco club. They attract some of the top flamenco artists from around Spain and the world. Sometimes you get a contemporary theme for the night. When I went, it was kind of a mix with ballet. It's really interesting. So these are contemporary flamenco artists, a Michelin dinner. We include cooking classes, so you get to make some recipes yourself, learn how to make some tapas, and you have wine pairings. And my last favorite thing is the Prado Museum. It's one of the top museums in Europe, and if you go to visit the museum, you will most likely be in a huge line stuck outside. But as part of my research, when I went there, I found out that for special groups, we are able to get early exclusive access. So we're able to get into the museum an hour before the guests, or before the public. You don't wait in line, you go right in, and you get to see these masterpieces.
Now, I love that because I know our guests do not like to wait in line. If you're going on a small ship experience with Windstar, you do not want to be making a line to do anything. And I've seen the line at the Prado because I've stayed at the hotel that actually is right behind the Prado.
Ah, perfect.
And so I've been there and said, oh my God, look at the line at the Prado. And I've actually have not been into the Prado other than for special events because it is such a popular museum. So I actually was not aware that we included a private tour and event exclusively for our guests. So if that didn't sell you on the Madrid cruise tour and all the itineraries that depart from Barcelona or arrive to Barcelona, I don't know what will.
Exactly. And we do offer this year round, since we are
Yes.
now year round and when we're in Spain for local season. And so during the winter as well, you don't want to be stuck outside in the cold, or during the summer. So it is even better for the
So
weather.
we are offering it on the Star Legend, the one that ends in Barcelona, the Winter Riviera. Okay, amazing. I did not
Absolutely.
know that. Look at that. I love doing these interviews because I'm actually learning along with you all the details. There's so many details to everything that we offer that it is hard to memorize. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you do that region of the world, and then you mentioned Central America, and you
Yes.
mentioned naturally Costa Rica, and I want to
Yes.
talk about that because I just got off the Star Legend, and there was a gentleman whose first Windstar cruise was naturally Costa Rica. And he commended us for doing such a fabulous time. He's like, Costa Rica wasn't on my list.
Yeah.
My girlfriend wanted to go, and so I went along with her. I was not excited. He's like, it's been my favorite cruise ever. And I've been on a lot of cruises. This is obviously an avid cruiser who's been on many cruise lines. One of his favorite cruises ever. Can you tell us about what makes that such a special itinerary for our guests?
That's a great question. And honestly, I completely agree. It was one of the first cruises I took with Windstar as well. And I've taken a lot of cruises also in my personal life, in my career. And I agree that this is very different. I was not as familiar with Costa Rica before I started here and saw it was a big piece of what we do. And now I've totally fallen in love with the destination. And what Windstar brings here is that when you're pulling up to your ports for Costa Rica, it's not these giant Caribbean destinations that you might be used to, or even if you've done a Mediterranean cruise before, these aren't big cities. You're
Right.
pulling up and you're just seeing the wilderness. Sometimes it's a small tender pier. It's a lot of tender piers or
Right.
wet landings.
Can you say what a wet landing is? Because I just learned this. Say, what is a wet landing for Windstar? This is
I was
pretty cool.
going to get into this because I know a lot of people are curious about wet landings, and same for me, for myself. This is so not the norm in the
No.
cruising world. I mean, even a tender operation, that can be a big deal
Right.
for a lot of ships. But to have a wet landing, yes, and I was blown away that we do this and that we're
Yes.
small enough to do this. So yeah, as it sounds, a wet landing, you truly are going to get a little wet. Your feet are going to get wet because you're in an inflatable Zodiac boat and we pull it up right into the sand. So you're going up to a beach. You don't need a pier. You don't need a tender landing. Like, we can literally pull these Zodiacs up to any beach, which means we get away from the crowds. We're getting you
Yes.
to real Costa Rican destinations that aren't full of tourists or other big cruise ships. And you're landing right on the beach. You step
love
out, your feet get wet, you get your toes in the sand, and you walk onto shore. So
Yes.
we're able to go to really cool small places.
So
which I
while the
love.
majority of the country is freezing cold, plowing snow out of their driveway, you can actually be, barefoot, landing in beautiful, pristine beaches in Costa Rica by our amazing crew in warm waters and just the sun blazing at you, right? I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Absolutely, and that's what I love. So yes, you get to have these beaches in this warm weather, which you can find in the Caribbean. But what I love about Costa Rica is the wildlife.
Yes.
It's so iconic for the wildlife, and it really is there. I mean, from the scarlet macaws to the sloths that you can see, toucans. I've seen some of the coolest wildlife that I've never seen outside of a zoo or a nature documentary. And I've seen it in real life with groups,
Love it.
and you're just walking through nature reserves. We have a lot of nature reserve tours, national parks. So we're going to some of the best top attractions for nature lovers. And then you bring an expert guide. And I've never seen this concept before as well. It's a telescope, but you're using it to find wildlife. And I've never seen this before. It's on a tripod. And so you'll be walking with the guide, and you're just thinking you're looking at flowers, trees, leaves, it's a bunch of green. Meanwhile, your guide has spotted 5 different animals.
I love it.
There's a bat sleeping under that leaf. Here are some caterpillars crawling,
cool.
butterflies up there. There's a bird far away. There's a sloth in that tree. I'm like, how do you see this with your naked eye? And then they pull up their little telescope, you lean in, and you see it clear as day.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
Amazing. And I think that's what, these types of experiences, what we're all searching for when we're going to these destinations, right? Because you said it's not just another beach, but to be able to see it in this way with the experts that know where to find the different wildlives. And I love the port talks that we also have prior to actually arriving to the destination, because you get a glimpse, right? I think you leave these destinations so enriched by what happens on board with our crew. Just, really some of these environmentalists actually come on board and do some of the lectures and port talks. So that's pretty cool as well.
Yes.
And then they take our guests on the tours as well, which is so cool.
Yes, and I really wanted to touch on this as well because it's something that is unique to the Costa Rica program.
Right.
Is that we do have these naturalists, and this is not a naturalist that we have brought on one time. These are naturalists that have sailed with us for years. They are a part of our crew at this point. They know Windstar in and out. They come back every season to us, and they are experts on this.
Amazing.
So not only are they from Costa Rica themselves, they were born and raised there. They are certified naturalist guides. They do give lectures on board about the animals, about even the Panama Canal, which is a part of a lot of those itineraries. And then, yes, they might be escorting your tour. So they'll go along with the guide or on our private island, the Isla Perdida, where we do our signature barbecue experience.
Yes.
They lead some of the nature walks around the island as well. So
Amazing.
they are hugely valuable. I absolutely love the naturalist program that we have.
Yes.
And I am really excited and proud of the naturalists that we have too. They're so great. I'm so happy that they've been with Windstar for so long. They just make the experience so great.
I love it. Well, Ricky, it's coming to the end of our segment, which I know we're going to be bringing you back because I have so many more questions for you, and I'm sure you all will have lots of questions for Ricky. So please leave that in the comments section because we will be bringing Ricky back. He actually lives very close to here, so we can bring him back as many times as you all have questions for him. So, but the last two final questions I do want to ask is, what will be your next itinerary? What's your next cruise on board Windstar?
Ooh, that is a good question. There are a few that I am considering.
Okay.
And one of them might not be a cruise at all. This is part of what we do. Sometimes we go ahead of the ship to
Right.
plan new experiences. One of those experiences, I hope this is okay to talk about, is
Yes.
Machu Picchu. We are looking into Machu Picchu, so I might be
Yes.
going over there soon.
Yes.
Otherwise, if I'm looking to do a cruise, I think the one that I would like to choose or see next is another Spain itinerary, but we do have a cruise tour that goes to Portugal. It takes you up to Porto, you go into the wine region of Portugal, and I would really like to see that product. So
love
I think
it.
I'll try to do, and it would be on the windsurf, which was just refreshed. So I think I'll
Yes.
try to get on one of the windsurf voyages. I believe it's Spanish Symphonies, and then you can add the cruise tour into
I love
Portugal
it.
from there.
And there is no secrets that we're keeping from our podcast listeners. If you're subscribed to our podcast by now and you're listening to each and every one of the episodes, we'll disclose everything that we know.
Great.
No secrets. We're not signing NDAs with anyone. We're going to disclose everything here. If you listen to the podcast, you'll hear about everything first. Final question.
Yeah.
If for those listeners who haven't joined Windstar, they haven't had the pleasure of sailing with Windstar and they're considering a Windstar cruise and they don't know yet where to go, what would that destination be that you would recommend?
Sure. I know I've talked a lot about Costa Rica already, and maybe because it was my first cruise with Windstar too, but I just really love that program, our Costa Rica voyages. And honestly, when you asked about my next cruise, I wanted my next cruise to be one of these Costa Rica sailings on the Windstar. And a good problem is that they are mostly sold out.
Right.
So if you are interested in this itinerary, please book.
Yes.
But I do think it's a great one because of those naturalist guides
Yes.
that are able to walk you through it. If you pick an itinerary that has the Panama Canal, it's such an impressive feat of innovation, of engineering. It is really cool to see. And then our signature beach barbecue experience. I just love the whole combination of nature, of beaches, the Panama Canal, and then you have naturalist guides, especially if you can get it on one of our smaller ships or with the sails. It just ends up being a nice, intimate experience. So.
I don't know about you all. I did not have Costa Rica on my list of places to go with my family, and I can tell you that it's really creeped up there. Thank you so much for actually educating me and our audience on this beautiful itinerary, because I knew it was wonderful. I had just heard about how wonderful it was, and I think you've inspired many of us to try our natural Costa Rica. And actually, you've actually also inspired us to go to Europe and visit Madrid one more time, because if you haven't been to Madrid, there's a special way to see it, and I'm sure you're gonna do something that's different, especially when it's a contemporary flamenco dancer. I mean, we've all seen the touristy ones. I would love to see this one. Very interested in doing our Madrid cruise tour.
Exactly, and I love trains myself as well. So to be on the high-speed train in a nice, comfy business class seat, it's
love
nice.
it. Yes, convenience. I think that's what we offer our guests: convenience. You've done all the hard work of planning it out. And
Yeah.
so just come on board and let us take care of the rest. And with that, we leave you. Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you, Janet.
So much. And hope to see you all soon. Bye-bye.